Hi, everybody. Welcome to Logistics of Selection. I am Kaylee Weicker. I'm the section coordinator for Section 9, which is Northern Ohio. And I have the distinct and amazing pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session, Brooke Stiles. As Manager of Communications and Chapter Relations at the Mortar Board National Office, Brooke is an asset for your entire chapter. She's a natural connector and a Denison University initiate. As you will quickly come to learn, if you haven't already, Brooke will continue to provide you with valuable insight both today and throughout the year. Please welcome our speaker, Brooke Stiles.
Hey friends, good to see you. If you haven't already heard enough of my name, hey, I'm Brooke. You're gonna see me a lot more this weekend too. Thanks Shannon for that role, Denny. Always appreciate it. Shannon's from Denison too. She's the current chapter president. I can spotlight her. But it's good to see everyone. I'm super excited to chat about selection. It's gonna be a good time. Just for a warning, we have a lot of information to cover, but that does not mean that you can't interrupt me. I talk quickly. We have Liv Morrison. She's super, super cool. She'll be our chat minder. So if you have a question, throw it in the chat. She'll interrupt me. If you just want to come off mute and interrupt me, please do that. And if you're like, Brooke, you're talking a million miles a minute, also let me know that. Cool. With that, we're going to get started. You may know a little bit about me already, but just for some more background, I'm a huge travel junkie. I've been to 15 countries in 27 states and counting. The most exotic and most fun of those would be Egypt. So you can see the Pyramids of Giza in the back. Is fun. I have no idea how to spell the word restaurant without autocorrect. I will say I had to use restaurant to put this on my PowerPoint, and even still, I feel like I got it wrong. If you know the song Countries of the World from the Animaniacs, that's a 90s reference. I know all of the words to that. And so that has all 200 and odd some countries of the world in it that were around in 1993. So that's truly the kicker. And you may have already seen my name pop into your email inbox, which is always fun and feisty. Like Kaylee said, I'm the Manager of Communications and Collegiate Operations for the National Office. So I work with people like Kaylee, who are your section coordinators, to help be the liaison between chapters and the National Office, National Council, and other national leaders. I help with reports. I'm usually the person you're emailing if you have questions, or the person that your SC is emailing if there are questions that they don't know. So hey, it's good to see ya. For us to start off, I would love if everyone could just pop in the chat what you're wanting to walk away with a better understanding of. So what's popping out? Which you're like, you know, I saw Logistics of Selection on Whova, and I just don't know anything about. Cool. Seeing how much time to allow for each stage of selection, timeline of selection, making selection fun. That's super important, Jose. Making it fun and feisty. Encouraging people to apply, pick candidates objectively, stages of selection, efficiently wade through applications. That's a big one. Nominations versus applications. Yes, Tristan. Erica, I will help you, girl. We'll get through this. Awesome. Thank you, supporting nominees. Thanks so much for throwing this in. I promise we'll get through to all of it. And if we don't, please feel free to shoot me over an email, find me on Slack. If you have my Instagram, DM me, sure. That's exciting. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So before we can go forward, I like to go back. So mortar board selection is unique and unlike any other process you've been through. If you're Greek or like in a Greek org, forget that. Forget that recruitment process because it's completely different. In the early days of mortar board, the women of the chapter would select those who would be honored to follow them. These were juniors who the chapter mutually agreed upheld the ideals they lived to uphold: scholarship, leadership, and service. They chose heads of major student organizations and governing groups, well-known women, those who had visibly made an impact. They accepted recommendations of new members in the form of nominations from deans and faculty. A person's selection was unknown to them until the chapter tapped them. It was quite an honor to be selected by the chapter, which it still is. Mortarboard's tradition of tapping dates back further than the birth of the national organization, beginning as long ago as 1892, when the Der Hexenkreis chapter at Cornell University was founded as a secret society for women. Then, new members were tapped in the middle of the night. Chapter members dressed entirely in black, complete with hoods covering all but their eyes, and surrounded the bed of a selected candidate. They awakened the candidate by uttering a Latin invitation in unison, and then they initiated her. Now, I'm not saying that you should do this, because I know I would be terrified if that's how I were tapped, but just so that we have a basis of where we're coming from. When Cornell joined with the University of Michigan, Swarthmore College, and the Ohio State University to create mortarboard, the university's rich tapping traditions passed on to the other chapters. Now each chapter has its own unique methods and adaptations, which have evolved greatly over the years. The Ohio State University continued the late night methods well into the 1950s, sending black-robed members by candlelight into the homes of surprised candidates. Many chapters passed physical items such as flowers, candles to new initiates as part of their tapping ceremony. Just for an example, Florida State University's members bore lighted torches, presenting them to newly chosen members, while Northern Arizona University chose the less dangerous option of red roses. Many chapters continue to hold their tappings in secret, while others opted for public spaces where all could see. Some were held during banquets or large meetings, while others were held during classes. Some schools, like Indiana University, recognize their new members at both a secret and a public tapping. So before I go into the nitty-gritty of how to manage a selection process, it's important to me that you know the magic of our history. There are plenty of grants, recognition, and awards today you can apply for. Know that mortarboard is different. Mortarboard members are first nominated, then selected, and then tapped. It's the combination of these factors that make membership so special, and it's up to us to keep these traditions alive. So we're going to go along this little roadmap. You'll see this pop up 1,000,004 times. I counted, that's an exact number. But we'll gather along and it'll kind of look like this. Great. So then we're in September. So here's what we should be doing along in September so we can follow along on this timeline. I have kind of a word for each month that we should be thinking about. So September is plan. That is our word for September. So have anyone seen this beautiful work of art that is the chapter action plan? It's by a raise of hands. Stunning. Yes. Some thumbs up. Cool, 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 cool. Yes. So chapter action plan, for those of you who don't know, you'll discuss these more in detail during your section meetings later tonight, is a tool to allow the chapter to lay out the timeline of membership selection and set dates. I cannot stress this enough. Make the plan and then execute it. This will be one of your most useful tools throughout the year and will keep you on track throughout your entire time. A plan is nothing if you do not follow it through. Start now and submit to your SC before the due date of September 30th for feedback. Again, your SCs are there to help you and to guide you. They are more than happy to take a look. And if you're like, I don't know when we should be doing this. I know Brooke said in the selection meeting, but now I completely forgot. What am I doing? Send this off to your SC and they are more than happy to help you in any way. All chapter selection timelines will vary slightly. This is because you all have different semester, quarter beginnings, endings, spring breaks, last day of classes, just like every campus is unique. Every cap looks unique too. But one thing will remain common for all. You should aim to have your selection process, including initiation, completed at least 1 month before your last day of classes. So everything done before 1 month before your last day of classes. If the chapter is not done so already, appoint a membership committee to support the membership chairperson. This could include a selection meeting chair, an initiation chair, and a tapping chair. This will allow membership not to fall on just one person, to fall upon a committee of people, which makes life a whole lot easier for everyone. And make sure you're consulting your advisors through this process. Many of them have been through the selection process before. Some are new, but they want to learn, they want to engage and know more about it. So meet with your advisors, I can assure you that they have incredible advice to give you, whether this is their first time or their 20th time. Be thinking about the chapter's visibility on campus to eligible juniors and faculty and staff who will be nominating. Selection is a year-long process, and what you do in the fall can help to encourage a successful selection in the spring. Think about how different parts of your year plan plays into your visibility. This is also thinking about diversity of your campus, of what are those little niches that maybe mortarboard hasn't seeped into, and finding people that you can work with. All year, you need to be thinking about getting the word out about your chapter and what you're doing. By marketing your chapter, people are more likely to know who you are and what you stand for and nominate a candidate. So do we have any ideas about getting the word out about your mortarboard chapter? I know there's some on the screen, but are there any others or some cool things that any chapters have done before? If you just want to unmute yourself and pop in.
One of the not really volunteer because they give us money for it. One of the things we do for the university is back when there's in-person graduation, we would be the seating people, the ushers. So that would be a way, especially if we wore our mortarboard shirts or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a really great way. Do we have 2 more that are willing to share some ideas? This doesn't have to be things that you're actively doing on your campus, but just something that you're thinking about.
On my campus, mortarboard is responsible for the flower sales at graduation. So that's what we do.
That's a big one.
On our campus, we organize the annual Halloween event for the community. So we solicit volunteers through all of the campus organizations to come and participate in the mortarboard event, where they play fun games with kids and give out candy and dress in costumes and that kind of thing. So that's every October. We do that the Thursday before Halloween.
That sounds so fun. It sounds like I'm going to be making a trip to Hood in October. Can't wait.
It's really fun. We didn't get to do it last year because of COVID, but we've got it planned for this year. We're just keeping our fingers crossed, but because it draws about 300 families from the community. So it's considered one of our biggest community events across the year.
That's awesome. And I'm just taking a gander in the chat here, and a lot of people are saying faculty recognition. That's huge. Social media, Instagram, volunteering at other student org events. Those are great. Those are awesome. So going along those lines, has everyone heard of the marketing rule of 7? Cool.
I think maybe, but I'm imagining it goes something like you need to tell someone something 7 times.
Linda, you are a winner. You are magic in my book. The marketing rule of 7 states that a prospect needs to hear the advertiser's message at least 7 times before they'll take action to buy that product or service. So I'm not saying that you're buying people into mortarboard, but it takes seven times somebody hear it and be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should nominate somebody. So the more you're getting your chapter out there, the absolute better. And remember, each chapter has a communications chair. So you should also be thinking about this too. So just looking at a whole, to have a good idea of how many members you should select this spring, which I know is a big number, you need to know the numbers. So there's a selection range. Selection range is the range the national organization has determined your chapter size should be between to truly honor the correct size group on your campus. And your SCs will be able to share this with you, or if you don't know it already, I'm more than happy to answer some questions about it. The selection range is determined by taking the average of the last 5 years of your chapter selection and comparing that to the size of your campus's junior class. The chapter should aim to select a number of candidates within this range. So what does that mean for nomination goals? If you want to select within your selection range, how many nominations should your chapter aim to have? So I would aim to have 10 plus or double the maximum of your selection range. So, oh my gosh, that was terrifying. So if my selection range is 25 to 50, I would aim to bring in 60 to 100 nominations or self-nominations. So this graphic is more of just like looking as how we can get smaller and smaller to those who are selected from your total campus, who you're contacting for nominations or self-nominations, who are then nominated or self-nominated, and then from that group who are selected. That takes us into October. See our little roadmap, it's so cute.
Was that the 10 plus or the double in relation to actually having selected, or like actually nominating?
So that would be nominated. So that's like how many people you want to come in so that you have a big enough pool to choose from. And choose kind of like the cream of the crop.
I'm so confused.
That's okay. So like if your selection range is 25 to 50, the nomination number that you're looking for that's coming back to you that you want to take into your selection meeting is 60 to 100 nominations or self-nominations.
So then how many should you contact?
For tapping, or
like the red circle?
Oh, you can contact as many people as you want here. I highly say the more the merrier in contact for nominations or self-nominations. And finding those niches, finding those different people, because you never know who may have somebody in their back pocket that is going to be your next chapter president or your next incredible membership chair. Does that kind of answer a little bit? Cool. So in October, so now you have your plan. October is a great month to start your selection groundwork. This time you should have your membership committee appointed. The membership chair should have assigned duties to the committee members. The word for October is engage. Now you can engage. The entire chapter needs to discuss membership in mortar board. And so I'll understand that mortar board selection is very particular and different than what they might be used to, like we were talking about earlier. It's much different than like Greek life. Make sure the chapter calendar has been set. So that's the cap. You want all members to attend the selection meeting, so have it set in stone early. Advisor must be present at selection, so be sure advisors have the date on their calendar too. Secure guest speakers for your chapter's initiation program during October so that you can give them plenty of time to think about it. And also in October, discuss in chapter meetings the concept of honorary membership and what faculty, staff, or community leaders should be nominated for an honorary membership. Does anyone know what an honorary membership is? And care to share? Linda, go for it.
It's someone who was not initiated into mortar board during their collegiate experience, but really exemplifies the pillars that we have and is honorarily made one, and then they can become your advisor.
Exactly. And sometimes they are your advisor and you're honoring them afterward. Right? Exactly. So it's a unique recognition for campus and community leaders who have made a notable contribution over a period of years and whose influence has extended beyond the college or university. Linda had it right on. So as a chapter, you'll meet to discuss whether a community member, faculty, or staff member are deserving of this recognition. An honorary member candidate must have at least a baccalaureate degree, be notable regionally, nationally, or internationally in their field or profession, and may not already be a member. So example of the type of person to choose to honor is like a campus president, an athletic director who has done more for women's athletics, senior professor with who's advised your chapter, advisors who have hosted your retreat in their backyard. Sometimes those are fun. The mayor of your city. Those have been made honorary members sometimes, who've improved campus and community relations. For this to happen, a petition must be submitted for all honorary candidates and approved by the national office. You can find this online at mortarboard.org/reports. It's right in there. It's a good idea to choose honoraries in the fall and early spring and to submit their individual petitions early. You cannot get approval for an honorary by simply putting them on the CR, which we will talk about later. Honorary members can create stronger bonds between faculty and staff and the chapter. This can increase nominations the chapter receives, and the members may potentially be a good future advisor for the candidate, for the chapter, or could be a great candidate to speak at initiations or events. That takes us to November. So in November, going to want to create a nomination form or use a previous form. This means looking at the candidate request and make sure that all the nomination forms collects all the information you need to complete the CR. So for November, I guess this one isn't a word, it's 2 words. Our catchphrase is reach out. So begin collecting contact information for faculty, staff, student organization leaders so you can contact them to submit nominations. You should also collect contact information for deserving students who you think might self-nominate. Precaution, make sure you are soliciting nominations from several different sources. If you're only sending out an email to those above a certain GPA to self-nominate, or if you're only requesting nominations from the engineering school, you're drastically limiting the chapter, and you'll be putting all of your eggs in one basket. Only a diverse group of members who represents all of your campus can truly meet the purpose of Mortar Board. So make sure everyone knows Mortar Board is interested in knowing of eligible candidates for consideration. Faculty members, staff members, deans, department heads, student orgs, directors, students are aware you are inviting all the campus to take nominations. Make sure you're thinking ahead. Has the membership chair reserved the rooms or location for the selection meeting, orientation, and initiation? But this is just the nomination for Mortar Board is an example that we have. You're more than welcome to base your nomination off of this, or if I know some chapters have their own nomination forms they like to send out, either one. So a nomination, what is a nomination? Is when someone, faculty, staff, student leader, nominates a candidate for consideration for membership in Mortar Board. The nominator is the person who submits the information about the candidate, and this is the information the chapter considers at the membership selection meetings. Often, candidates have more than one nomination. Remember, members in your chapter are more than welcome to nominate candidates they believe fit Mortar Board. I think that's something that can often get missed. It's like, just talk to your chapter. They often know who are going to be the best to replace them the following year. I will warn, some chapters run into trouble with nominations. For example, a chapter this year received 130 nominations for candidates to Mortar Board, but their membership selection target was 24, and they selected 16. So instead of considering all of the candidates nominated for Mortar Board, the chapter contacted the nominees and asked them to apply for Mortar Board. Only 19 applications were received. Don't fall into this trap. There's no middle step. A person who nominates does not apply. You must make sure all information you need to select is collected on the nomination form. And something that has been voted on in the National Council is by 2023, Mortar Board will not be using applications at all. So everything will have to be either by nomination or by self-nomination, but an application will not be in the process. So why do we do it this way? An application, it takes away from the moment when the candidate, completely unknowing, is tapped for membership in Mortar Board, which is a more exciting situation to find out you've been nominated and selected, or be asked to apply because of a nomination. So just finding out you're nominated, I know I'm excited about it. When collecting nominations, you need to be strategic about information you ask for. So on your nomination form, you usually want to see the GPA, a graduation date, confirm the junior level credit hours, first and last name, email, phone number, and permanent home address. Information to use for selection meetings. Some of this information your chapter may choose to collaborate with the registrar office to collect or confirm. To do so, you must consult your advisor for support and contact them early. I'll leave you with one more thought before we move on. Some chapters have started rating candidates who apply on their own higher than candidates who are nominated. At first glance, they may make sense because if you send in your own application, you can provide more information, including a resume. I've been told that self-nominated candidates look more successful or have more achievements, but I want to challenge this thinking. If a professor takes the time out of their day to nominate a student they think highly of to be honored with Mortar Board membership, do you think this speaks less of a candidate than a resume? Just something to ponder. So as we move on into December, December is the time to remind nominators to get their nominations turned in. Usually semester break is a good time to catch up, invite self-nominations from eligible candidates. So you got it. Our word is remind. How and who can we reach out to for the nominations? So we're sending out nominations to deans, to department heads and directors, to faculty, staff, student organization presidents, encouraging other faculty, staff, and students nominate worthy candidates. Everyone can be nominating people. And when we're in this kind of lull of December, when school isn't really happening, we're taking a moment to relax, sometimes these people can come out of the woodworks and send in a nomination. But also, enjoy your December. In January, we hit the ground running. So in January, we're sending reminders that nominations are due in late January. Formulate, so this is our word, is formulate. Discuss with your chapter what qualities a candidate should have, what type of members you want to replace you. Once the deadline has passed, prep materials for the membership selection meeting. Practice for your selection meeting at a chapter meeting. Talk with a chapter about how the meeting will be run so it will go as smoothly as possible. Begin prepping materials for orientation and initiation. But Brooke, what does it take to be a good mortar board? You're all here, so it's what you have is what it takes to be a good mortar board. Before you and your chapter meet to vote, you should all have a conversation to discuss and have a good understanding of what it takes to be a good mortar board, of why you were chosen. Mortar board members are scholars, chosen for leadership, united to serve. The bylaw standards to be accepted into mortar board are distinguished ability and achievement in scholarship, leadership, and service, commitment to promote the goals and purpose of mortar board. A student is in good standing and enrolled at the university, must have junior level of credit hours, and must be able to serve 1 semester or quarter of active mortar board service. Mortar board does have a GPA standard of at least 3.0, and some of your chapters have higher requirements. But remember, scholarship is an academic study or achievement, learning of a high level. Scholarship is not only defined by a GPA or number, it's a love of learning beyond what is expected. A person with less than a 3.0 can be offered membership by completing the petition for scholarship exception form on the reports page of the website. A candidate is selected into mortar board if they represent all 3 of the ideals. If you could visualize a candidate's successes in an image, I want you to visualize that a mortar board member would resemble the circles, not the inverted pyramid. So they have all 3 of these. So scholarship, leadership, and service is what they create. Back to the standards of bylaws. When I said to be selected, a person should have commitment to promote the goals and purpose of mortar board. So I said them a couple times. Does anyone know the goals and purpose of mortar board? Anyone? Not to fear. Well, go for it. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a continuing senior, so that's why I know some of these answers. But I know there was like the story about how the founding members met and they realized that they each had the senior honor societies, but they were all separate and they wanted to work together to be able to work on a national level and just kind of support the pillars with each other, not just be trying to do it all by themselves, each of them.
Exactly. It's that togetherness. Absolutely. There's a big chunk of it, and we're all gonna look at it and read it together. So mortar board, whose purpose shall be to facilitate cooperation among those societies, to contribute to the self-awareness of its members, to promote equal opportunities among all peoples, to emphasize the advancement of the status of women, to support the ideals of the college or university, to advance a spirit of scholarship, to recognize and encourage leadership, to provide service, and to establish the opportunity for a meaningful exchange of ideas as individuals and as a group. Just take a moment, reread it back to yourself for a second, think about it a little bit. This is what mortar board is all about. I'll read it again. Mortar board, whose purpose shall be to facilitate cooperation among those societies, to contribute to the self-awareness of its members, to promote equal opportunities among all peoples, to emphasize the advancement of the status of women, to support the ideals of the college or university, to advance a spirit of scholarship, to recognize and encourage leadership, to provide service, and to establish the opportunity for a meaningful exchange of ideas as individuals and as a group. To select based on this purpose, all of your chapters should not only know this purpose, but understand what it means to your individual chapter for your university. How does your chapter promote equal opportunities among all? How do you emphasize advancement of women or support the ideals of the college or university? This needs to be discussed prior to your selection meeting. When selecting and requesting nominations, you need to ensure you are including people who represent your entire campus. You want diversity among your chapter. You cannot really serve your campus as a whole if you only have members from the College of Health. You cannot create equal opportunities among all peoples if your entire chapter is white. You need the voices of all of your campus to make a mortarboard chapter. So how do you run a selection meeting? Selection is usually done by consensus. This involves several rounds of voting and requires candidates to be approved by at least 80% of the chapter. You really want 100% attendance at the selection meeting, so make sure you plan the selection meeting out early. Linda, what's up?
Sorry, took me a second to unmute. I'm just wanted to double check where we are in the calendar at this point.
We are still in January.
So the selection would also be?
So that's where things change a little bit, is January and February are usually the dates that selection happens.
Okay.
Mhm.
That makes sense since there's no application.
So we are in January. So you do really want 100% attendance at your selection meeting, which is why we have planned it in November. Round one begins with a thorough review of each candidate. From there, each round follows a similar pattern. The membership chair reads each candidate name and invites members to review the candidate's scholarship, leadership, and service through discussions. Members should take notes on all the candidates and discussion. After all candidates have been discussed one time, a written or electronic ballot is conducted. Ballots are counted, and those with 80% are approved as candidates for membership. The president will announce those approved from the round, and their names are removed from the next ballots for the next round. And you keep going like that. So then you'll take those names that were left over, talk about them a little bit more, and then send it back out to ballot for vote. You need 80%, like 80% yes. So when do you stop? So selection ends if the chapter has 3 dry ballots, and that is, a dry ballot is when no candidate received 80% approval. And then we're into February because you just selected your class. Yay! February is elect.
Brooke, we had a quick question in the chat just about the PowerPoint being available to everyone after the meeting.
Absolutely. More than happy.
Where can they find that?
I can throw it on Hoova.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Some chapters have different ways that they hold election or that they hold selection. So this is just one of the ways that we suggest, because by consensus is usually the best way to get the most well-rounded group. By February, you're holding your chapter. If you haven't done it in January, then you are holding your chapter at selection meeting. You're submitting your chapter's candidate request immediately after. The candidate request must be in 2 weeks before you tap, and you cannot tap without national office approval. So you'll be sending your candidate request with all of those lovely names that you just went through and spent a long time doing, and you will send them off to me, and I will look at them and we will approve them. And this is also your ticket to pins and certificates. So all those lovely membership packages. February is also the time you're going to want to prep for tapping. So wait for approval and then tap. If you want to tap during mortarboard week, which is the week including February 15th, because that's our birthday, you want to tap during mortarboard week, make sure that your CR is in 2 weeks prior to that, which would be by January 28th. Send all invitations for family of candidates. You can have their permanent addresses from the nomination form, including honorary members who must also be approved by the national office, honorees, and alumni for initiation. This is a really, really wonderful opportunity to get alumni more involved with your chapter. People are always so excited about coming back for initiation, and if you don't know who your alumni is, reach out to the national office and we are more than happy to get you a list of some emails and you can send it out to them. Say, hey, we want to involve you some more. Come back. Hold it orientation. So ensure candidates have paid their membership fees and make sure they know what they're getting themselves into. And then also rehearse for initiation. Let's talk a little bit more about this candidate request. So we talked a little about the CR when we mentioned the information you want to collect with nominations. So let's talk specifically about what the CR is and what is on it. The candidate request is submitted after the chapter has selected at the selection meeting and 2 weeks before tapping. If I was in your shoes, I would have the secretary filling out the CR as candidates are approved at the selection meeting. So then all of it is happening at the same time. So why is the CR deadline so important? This is how your request approval for your candidates from the national office. No one can become a mortar board member without this approval. This is the document used to set up a member's lifetime account at the national office. It's how membership payments are made, conference registrations are completed, and this account stays with you even as an alumni. This is how you communicate your selection timeline to the national office. When the tapping email should be sent and when the membership box should arrive. This is your ticket to the resources you need for initiation, like pins, certificates, and other membership handouts. All right, some highlights. This used to be an Excel document, but this year we have created it into a job form. So it's a lot easier and to be able to see everything. You don't have to download it. You can just share this link. You'll be able to save it so you can come back to it if you don't have all of the answers, and you can just talk through everything. But there is another Excel document. So there are multiple tabs in this Excel document. The first tab for the instructions is the CR and OMR. The second and third tabs are the CR. Tab 2 is the candidate request info. This has the chapter information and selection timeline and address to send the membership box to. So this has your initiation materials in it and the option for you to collect local dues online through the national office and apply those fees to the chapter annual conference fee you owe each year of $350. I highly suggest this option for local dues. It will make your lives easier because you do not have to collect local money from members, then work with your university to cut the national office check. We'll do that on our end for you. Tab 3 is the requested candidate list. This is where the chapter will list those they are requesting the national office approve for membership. Pay attention to the asterisks that are there. These are the items that are required. When creating the nomination form, you need to be thinking about how you will collect all of the required information. What will come from the nominator or self-nominator? What information can your advisor help you gather? And what can the registrar provide? Remember, without this approved, you cannot tap these candidates. Also, if the national office does not have this information, we won't be able to prepare the symbols of membership. Unfortunately, mind reading is not a talent of mine. I wish it were. That would be so cool. Can you imagine? It'd be awesome. So this candidate request is a major, major document. Once that's in and has been approved, we get to tapping. Tapping is so fun. You just saw a tapping earlier with Saul. Because as a national citation winner, Saul was just tapped. Making it special, making tapping special and fun for current and future members. Have a committee chair dedicated to tapping. If your chapter struggles with visibility and recognition on campus, this is the #1 way to improve that. Many chapters will provide a gift to members and an invitation to orientation in a scroll. Once you have been tapped, the chapter will hold orientation, and this is one of the most important roles a president plays. You will need to introduce a new chapter to what it means to be a mortar board, so put some thought into it. This should not be inviting the new chapter to a room to lecture at for an hour. An orientation should include learning about the national organization and the local chapter, purpose, goals, ideals, and what your chapter strives for, what the chapter has been working toward this year and how the next chapter can continue the work. Tell stories and show pictures and videos of your year's highlights and favorite memories. Introduction to offices, what they do and how to run for an office. Instruction on how to complete membership payments before initiation. Cannot give symbols of membership to anyone not paid. Team building and getting acquainted. Get the old and new chapter together to do something active, like a service event, dinner, or a ropes course, or a retreat. This will give time for the new and old chapter members to chat. And then we're in March. March, initiate new mortar board members and submit the OMR with membership payment types filled in. Any membership fee is paid to the chapter and the chapter annual conference fee of $350 within a week of initiation. Hold officer selections and submit the new officer report. Hold organized transitions between current and future officers. So initiation. This should be special, a formal ceremony. Chapters are encouraged to have a speaker as well as invite initiates' families. You are charged with celebrating the achievement of your predecessors have made and the legacy of your chapter, as well as the selection of new candidates to carry on the tradition of excellence. Talk with your advisor about chapter traditions for initiation, and please, please, please read the initiation handbook. After the chapter has gotten the CR approved, the national office will begin prepping your chapter's membership box. This has materials you will need for initiation, including pins, certificates, placeholder certificates, the initiation handbook, information for members coming in, and information for members leaving. Make sure you are prepping for the initiation ceremony. Certificates will all need to be signed by the president of the chapter. Pins will need placed on gold or silver ribbon, so make your life much easier at the ceremony. Have the ceremonial roll members will sign. Plan when you will present all this and the other materials in the membership box to candidates and graduating members. Placeholder certificates are when no candidates may be presented symbols of membership without completing their membership payment. So do not give them a pin or certificate, instead present them with a placeholder. This means prior to initiation, you must determine who has paid and who has not. The treasurer can be helpful making sure this is all done. It's no fun to hand out placeholder certificates at initiation, so make sure everyone has made their payment before. And all graduating members should be present. There's a part in the initiation ritual for them. Additionally, many chapters will present at the exiting calls regalia at this initiation ceremony. This is not included in the membership box. You will need to order them separately. The official membership report. When you go to complete your official membership report, you will reopen that CR/OMR document you began before tapping. The OMR portion of this Excel document is tab 3 and tab 4. Tab 3 is the candidate payment status when you complete tab 2. Before tapping, the general information will be auto-populated in tab 3. So the form should appear like the chapter must complete the green column, which identifies the payment status of the candidate paid online. And the chapter refused, and if the chapter has an honorary, then choose honorary. The tab 4 invoice of continuing seniors. This is the tab where you identify who is a continuing senior and find your chapter's invoice. The top will be where you identify the continuing seniors in your chapter and how they have paid their fee, not how they will, how they have, continuing senior that is. When you scroll down on the 4th tab, there will be what the chapter owes for the year and walk through the invoice. With the submission of the OMR, the chapter treasurer and president should ensure all owed funds have been sent to the national office. And this is all also laid out on the reports page on the mortar board website. And we're getting to April, we're so close. April, the chapter president or an elected official delegate must register for the national conference where you're at now. Have fun organizing social events between the past and future mortar board chapters. And then have fun planning those events. Have a good time. Enjoy the rest of your senior year. You don't want to continue doing this stuff well into the summer. So if you keep to your cap and you're keeping to all of your dates, you will be crystal clear. Thanks. That was a lot of information. I know, and I'm so sorry for it. I'm looking at the time. I know it's about 3:45 right now Eastern. If there are any other questions or anything like that, which I'm sure there are, I'll be putting this out into the Whova app so you can have the PowerPoint. If you want to reach out to me on Slack, please do. If you have questions, reach out to me on Whova. I am more than happy to answer whatever I can. I don't know if we have time for any questions right now.
I have a quick one. Was this recorded?
Yeah.
I want to ask, where would you find like the recording of this session and the PowerPoint on Whova?
Yeah, so all of the recordings so all of the chapter operations are being recorded, as well as some of the main general sessions, and those will be provided in an email after conference has ended.
Okay.
Yeah, and my PowerPoint will be up on Whova as soon as I can get it there.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you, Brooke, not only for your valuable insight today, but also for your hard work putting on this 2021 National Conference. Everybody, Brooke is the woman behind the conference. She did so much work getting all this together. She's amazing. We should all give her a round of applause because she's great. At this time, we welcome you to enjoy a short break.